Collier is in serious hot water after lying on Caitlin Clark on national television.
The WNBA All Star coaching trade everyone's buzzing about just took a wild turn. Napheesa Collier came out swinging with some raw truth that shattered the storyline we thought we understood. The secrets are out. And believe me, this shifts the whole narrative around Caitlin Clark's hot-button coaching move. So now the real question is, what really went down behind closed doors in this coaching shakeup?
The WNBA All Star draft was fun between Caitlin Clark and Napheesa Collier, the team captains, picking the players, picking the rosters. But the most interesting aspect was the coach swap, because Clark traded Cheryl Reeve, who was the coach of her team, or was to be the coach of her team, to Collier for Sandy Brondello, the coach of the New York Liberty. Of course, Reeve is Collier's head coach for the Minnesota Lynx, so that makes sense. But the drama is going to come from Reeve having previously been critical on social media about the amount of attention Clark received relative to the rest of the league, not to mention being the coach of Team USA that Caitlin Clark was so famously.
So here's how it all unfolded. And let me tell you, things are about to heat up. The 2025 WNBA All Star game was meant to be simple. Cheryl Reeve was set to coach Team Clark, while Sandy Brondello from the New York Liberty would lead Team Collier. Sounds easy enough, right? Not even close.
I don't know if this is in the rules. I don't really care. But I think we've already discussed we are going to trade coaches. Fee's going to take her coach, Sandy Brondello. Let's get it. It's going to be amazing. Sorry, WNBA, if that's not in the rule. Sorry, ESPN, if that's not in the rules. But we just made it a rule. So, Sandy Brondello, come on over.
Whoa!
Let's get to it. You can coach Sabrina.
Then came the shocker no one could have predicted. Clark said it live on air. I don't know if this breaks the rules. I don't really care. But yeah, we already agreed. We're gonna trade coaches. The basketball world went absolutely nuts. Social media exploded. Theories ran wild. Everyone was sure Caitlin Clark was pulling some kind of power play on Cheryl Reeve. But wait, here comes the twist.
Napheesa's drafting skills for her NBA drafting, and for you, Fee, did you know that Cheryl was gonna get traded beforehand, before you and Clark did that, or was that just on the spot when that happened? So first for you, Napheesa.
Oh, I think Fee knows what she wants, so her draft picks were all great. I'm happy that she, got Courtney, she got Cheryl, so the whole Minnesota Lynx gonna be there. So I'm happy about that. So she's a great drafter.
Yeah, watch out. I might be a GM one day. No, I would hate that job. Yes, I texted Caitlin before to ask if we could trade for Cheryl. So, yes, it was pre-planned.
Nia Collier just told us what really went down. And trust me, it's not at all what we thought. I texted Caitlin before to ask if we could trade for Cheryl. So yes, it was pre-planned, Collier admitted. Hold on, what? You're telling me all this noise about Clark shutting down Reeve was completely off base? Let me walk you through this, because it's actually wild. Everybody and their mother thought Caitlin Clark was pulling a diva card, basically saying, I don't want that coach. The story was that Clark was shading Reeve, maybe because of all that Olympic drama last year when she was snubbed from Team USA, a team Reeve happened to coach. But Napheesa Collier just turned the story on its head. She was the one who kicked this whole thing off. She's the one who texted Clark, asking if they could pull off the swap. This wasn't about Clark rejecting anyone. It was about Collier wanting to keep her own coach for the All-Star game. And honestly, if you follow hoops, that makes total sense. Collier hasn't played under anyone else since joining the league in 2019. Of course she'd want to roll with the coach who's been shaping her game for 6 years. It's like being asked to choose between your favorite teacher and someone brand new for the biggest project of the year. But here's where things get really interesting. The way this whole trade looked on TV, it made Clark seem like she was calling all the shots. Fee's gonna take her coach, Cheryl Reeve. Sandy Brondello. Let's go. Clark sounded like she was making the boss move, when really, she was just rolling with what Collier had already asked for. And that's low-key genius by both of them, but especially by Collier. She got what she wanted, kept her trusted coach, while Clark took the heat for what looked like a big controversy. And Clark! She ends up with Sandy Brondello, fresh off a championship run with the Liberty. It's a win-win situation, dressed up as drama. The way this whole thing got covered in the media, absolutely unhinged. Everywhere you looked, it was headlines about Clark's shocking move and what it meant for her beef with Reeve. Sports pundits were breaking down her tone, her body language, every possible hint of shade. Meanwhile, the real story was hiding in plain sight. Collier orchestrated the entire thing. And let's talk about the way she revealed it. "Watch out, I might be a GM one day," Collier joked, then quickly added, "No, I hate that job." She's got humor, she's got poise, and she's basically admitting she ran the show without breaking a sweat. And the timing? Absolutely calculated. She waited until after the Minnesota Lynx beat the LA Sparks 91-82 on Thursday to open up about it. Drop the truth bomb when everyone's in high spirits. Smart move. But here's where it gets even wilder. This one twist completely reshapes the narrative around Clark and Reeve. Everyone assumed there was tension, like Clark was throwing a message by dodging Reeve. But if Collier started the trade, that means Clark was just being a good sport. That also exposes how differently these two athletes get treated by the media. When Clark does something, it's headline fuel. Every action's viewed through a lens of drama. When Collier makes a similar move, it's chalked up as basic strategy. The double standard is real, and it's loud. Now let's not ignore this either. Clark and Reeve's relationship has always been a little complicated. Reeve was one of the louder voices pushing back on the amount of hype Clark was getting before her rookie season with the fever even started. Then came the Olympic snub. Clark left off the team Reeve was coaching. But maybe, just maybe, that's in the rearview now. Maybe this coaching trade wasn't about tension at all. Maybe it was two smart players making a move that worked for both sides. Clark gets a proven champion as a coach. Collier gets to stick with the mentor who's guided her entire professional journey. Sometimes the easiest answer is the right one. And by the way, the All Star draft? Still packed with highlights beyond this whole coach drama. Clark used her first pick to take Fever teammate Aaliyah Boston, a classy, loyal move. Collier countered by drafting Breanna Stewart from the Liberty, going straight for that superstar firepower. What's cool is how different their draft styles were. Clark leaned on familiar faces, building chemistry, and good vibes. Collier, she was out to win, choosing veterans and players she knew could handle big moments. After Clark made that public coaching swap announcement during the draft, she even tried to trade Satu Sabley to Team Collier so Brundolo could coach her Liberty star, Breanna Stewart. Even after the coach switch, both captains were still locked in, thinking 3 steps ahead, making moves to fine-tune their squads.
Napheesa Collier was on an interview with CBS on a podcast and was asked about what she was most excited about for the coming season. And she said the CBA, not winning a championship, not running it back, but the CBA. And then she was asked a bunch of questions about the CBA, and she acknowledged everybody else except for the one player who's made people notice. And that's Caitlin Clark. A good 15, 20-minute interview, and at no point does she acknowledge that Caitlin Clark is what has given them, or who has given them, the leverage in negotiation, if they have any leverage to begin with. No, instead, she talked about how they have filled up the arenas. She talked about how people are watching on TV. She talked about unrivaled, in fact, her creation. At no point does she mention, Caitlin Clark brought eyes to this product. And now when we walk through an airport, people recognize us. In fact, she said that people now notice them. Why the hell do you think that is? No one knew who the hell you were until Caitlin Clark showed up. This is the non-stop narrative. I mean, man, you thought Napheesa Collier was smart enough to recognize this. But even she is stuck in delusion syndrome. It seems like no one can be helped. Even after Cheryl Miller has told the world, everybody despises Caitlin Clark. They all hate on her. Damn shame.
The fact that Collier wouldn't let go of her go-to coaching partner shows she's thinking bigger than just the court. These players have layers, business ties, endorsement deals. genuine friendships. All of it plays a part in the choices they make. It's no longer just about the game. It's about building something lasting, a brand, a career, and relationships that matter. And here's what's been totally slept on amid all this drama. Both of these teams actually stacked. Clark's squad features Sabrina Ionescu, AJ Wilson, and Sejah Sabley in the starting five. That's a power heist lineup. Even with a few injuries in the mix, the firepower is real. Collier answered back with her own arsenal. Her bench is deep, with Skylar Diggins, Angel Reese, Kelsey Plum, and more. Up front, she's got Brianna Stewart, Alicia Gray, Nneka Ogwumike, and Paige Buchers. Talent everywhere you look. Bottom line, no matter who's coaching, this game is set to be an absolute battle. The coaching trade may have grabbed the headlines, but the real story? It's how epic this all-star matchup is shaping up to be. These aren't just showcase squads. Both of these rosters are built to win. The balance of power is spot on, and that's exactly the kind of energy fans live for. But here's where things get even more interesting. This whole saga pulls back the curtain on WNBA politics. While hosting the All-Star Draft, ESPN's Malika Andrews reported that the league officially greenlit the coaching swap Clark and Collier pulled off. It caught them off guard, no question, but they had to go along with it. That's next-level player power. The fact that two athletes can decide on live TV to trade coaches, and the league just goes, okay, sure, speaks volumes about the influence WNBA stars hold today. You'd never see this fly in the NBA. Imagine LeBron James announcing a coach swap mid-draft. That would get shut down instantly. But the WNBA plays by different rules. There's a tighter bond between players and league officials, and with that comes more flexibility. In some ways, it's a win for the players, a league that listens. But it also opens a door to messy moments like this, where the entire story gets twisted. And the way the media ran with this, it's a textbook case of how fast the narrative can spiral into something it was never meant to be. Everyone got so caught up in the drama that they completely missed the real story. Collier played it like a pro. She got exactly what she was aiming for, while the world spun its own versions of events. And here's the kicker. This might be the smartest promotion the All-Star Games ever had. Think about it. Instead of being just another friendly match that fans casually tune into, we've now got a full-on storyline. Something people can't stop talking about. The coach trade, it stowed more buzz than any lineup reveal ever could. Whether they planned it or not, this whole situation is bound to spike viewership. And the fans? They are the real winners in all of this. We get a competitive all-star battle with two stacked squads, led by coaches with championship resumes, plus enough backstory to keep every eye glued to the screen. And now, we finally get to see Clark and Reeve interact, knowing this whole controversy was never as deep as it looked. Looking ahead, that coaching dynamic might just be the most fascinating subplot of the game. Brundelow just led the Liberty to a title. She knows how to manage stars. Reeve's been developing talent for years. She knows how to elevate it. Both coaches have something to prove, and they are going to show it. The player dynamics are going to be something to watch. Collier made a deliberate move, keeping her Yukon family close by tapping in Brianna Stewart and Paige Buchers for her starting five. That's three former Yukon Huskies who already know each other's rhythms, timing, and instincts. That kind of built-in chemistry, it could be a real edge. On the other side, Clark's squad is building a different kind of connection. Her top picks in each category were familiar faces, Fever teammates Aaliyah Boston in the starting lineup and Kelsey Mitchell off the bench. She's shaping her team around players she shares the court with every day. That trust, that comfort, it could turn into some seriously beautiful basketball. But here's the real takeaway. Napheesa Collier just flipped the entire script on this coaching trade drama and rewrote the story everyone thought they already knew. What everyone thought was Clark making a bold, controversial move turned out to be something much smarter. Just two players making a strategic call that worked for both sides. The media took the bait. The fans got a show. And now, we're all locked in, waiting to see how it unfolds on the court. This whole moment is a masterclass in why you can't always believe the first headline you hear. Because sometimes, the real story, the actual truth, is way more fascinating than the drama. And sometimes, the drama, it's just smoke hiding what's really going on. In this case, The truth is two players quietly making power moves, setting themselves up for success. And honestly, that's way more impressive than any scandal ever could be. Napheesa Collier just showed us all. She's playing chess while the rest of us are caught up in checkers. This coach trade, her move from the beginning, and she let the media write their own story. So now, what about you? What do you think of this twist? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.